Hi everybody, I'm author Joe Cuhaj. Welcome to another podcast. You know, my video podcasts tend to be all over the place, just like my writing. One week I might take you on a great outdoor adventure, like a hike or a kayak trip, or maybe a camp out. Sometimes it might be a little travelogue, and we take you to some great events and attractions that you really need to go see. And so other times we might do a little mini documentary, maybe a little lesser known historical fact. But today we're going to do something just a little bit different. We're going to go back outdoors again, but this time we're going to look at trails themselves. You know, whether you're an equestrian, you love to ride your horse down a trail, a mountain biker, or a hiker or backpacker, you're going to find a trail that you absolutely love. And it could be for many different reasons. Maybe some amazing wildlife, plant life, some fantastic landscapes, water features, geology, or maybe it's just a challenge that it presents you. Either way, that trail, you just love it and you keep going back to it time and time again. Well, have you ever stopped to think how that trail got there? Who built it? And better yet, who maintains it, keeps it safe so you can use it time and time again? Well, that's what we're going to look at today. You know, a lot of people think that it's simply the government that does it. Local, state, federal government agencies that build and maintain trails. Well, that's true sometimes, but for the most part, it's volunteers, people like you and me, who do the actual work. They give their free time and many times at their own expense to build those trails. And we're going to look at that today, and by the time this is done, I hope you're inspired to get out and help that local trail building organization in your area, or give a donation to help them keep their mission up. A lot of work goes into building a new trail even before the first shovel of dirt is turned. Depending on the scope of the project, it could take a few weeks to a few years to get that first inch of trail built. Most of the time, volunteers begin by laying out a proposal that outlines the length of their proposed trail, who will use it, what benefit it will have for the landowner and user, if necessary, how the project will be funded, and who will be responsible for maintenance once it is completed. In the national forests, for example, where they are often short-handed, they require a full commitment from trail building organizations that they will regularly maintain a new trail, otherwise they're not allowed to build that trail. Many times the landowner or manager will require volunteers to have insurance, not only to cover the workers themselves, but also the landowners. This can become a very expensive process for the volunteers. Once all the permissions and agreements are in place, it's time to start building that trail, right? Wrong. A new trail requires careful planning. You may have acres of land to build a trail on, but volunteers have to take a lot into consideration, like elevation gain, obstacles, and endangered species of plants and wildlife, all with the goal of not simply following the path of least resistance. The goal of a trail planner is to give users something to see and do, like beautiful landscapes, water features, wildlife, and challenging topography. What they want is a trail that will be frequently used, which means that the brush will be regularly beaten back by hikers, horses, or bikers, which later on means less maintenance. By using maps and satellite images before even setting foot on the property, volunteers get a feel for the lay of the land and come up with a corridor that looks promising. The volunteers are now ready to fan out and explore the corridor, looking for a beautiful and interesting path. Along the way, they use flagging tape to mark the route that they have taken. This process could take a considerable amount of time to complete, as the volunteers return time and time again to continue exploring, removing old flagging tape and repositioning it along a better route until they are finally satisfied with the proposed path and they are ready to present it to the landowners and managers. Once again, depending on the land manager you're working with, the proposed route may be quickly approved. If, for example, it's an old logging road you're using, it's a no-brainer. Approval is quick. In other cases, it could take a year or more. Finally, after a considerable amount of pre-planning and scouting, it's time to start building the trail. Volunteers use a wide variety of tools to make that happen. Depending on where the trail is being built, they may only need a brush mower. In the mountains, you may need fire axes and rakes. And most everybody will require the use of chainsaws, which requires special training and certification to operate if the trail builders are building on local, state, or federal land. In the case of National Forest wilderness areas, power equipment is not permitted, so instead of chainsaws, they use the two-man cross saw and the good old axe. Once the path is in place, it's time for blazing, which can be as simple as paint blazes or signs. Once the final blaze is in place, the trail is open for business, but the work doesn't stop there. Sometimes the hardest part of a trail is not building it, but maintaining it. Depending on where it's located, it can seem like maintenance is a daily project. The American Gulf Coast is one such spot, where the subtropical climate causes brush to grow relentlessly. Volunteers spend many hours mowing, trimming, cutting out tree blowdowns, and reblazing the trail so that it's safe for all to enjoy.